All right, guys, welcome back. We haven't done a show for a while. It's Ryan and Brian with Numbers Lab, and we got football now. So no more golf talk for a little while. We got college football, we got NFL. We have lots to talk about. I'd say we've done pretty well for college football so far. Brian, we'll get into kind of what went right, what went wrong last week, and then we're going to get into some plays and what we've already played and what we may be looking at. If we have time, we may cover a little bankroll management at the end. But welcome back. I feel like we haven't recorded for a little while. And how's college football going for you and the model so far?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's going well. I'm glad it's back. It it certainly feels like forever ago. And things are going pretty decent so far. The way model works a while to aggregate this season's data, but as on what teams truly are, rather than me trying to project what they are, things should get a little bit better. I think I'm up a little over 5 units right now. It's actually probably down to 3 something, 4 something after Louisville the other night.
That was an ugly game.
Yeah, it was terrible. And I'll have to pull up here what how far I adjusted them down. They fell pretty far. But and I kind of mentioned it on Twitter a little bit. My models seem to do really well on totals, and not been doing great right now, which is not really tempo and stuff is really hard to project, and things like that. But doing pretty well on sides. Obviously, there's going to be some outliers like Louisville, and I've had some others that my model seems to like. I'll talk about another one here as we get into things. But yeah, no, it's been going well. I think we've been doing pretty good here so far.
Yeah, I'd say week 0 for both of us. I think we were up basically a couple units. I gave a couple back last week. Just a couple second half plays. I thought I had some leans on them, and I ended up playing them and posted them on Twitter and our Discord, and they just didn't hit. My money line parlay hit. That was nice. As far as positives, that was kind of I may try to throw one of those in every week. You won't see a ton of them for me, but gathering 4 to 5 teams to get it close to even money. Yeah, you're throwing heavy favorites, but for me, I'm not going to lay a number by itself that big, but wrapping them all in to get, close to even money. For me, I find a little value because not often do those teams lose. And if you lose, you're only losing minimal damage, really. So that's how I look at that. I know that a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but that's where my head's at on those ones. As far as me, got lucky. Well, I got lucky in 2 different ways. The Oklahoma bet got canceled and ended up not covering. So that was kind of actually a blessing in disguise, but I did play them in the first half and that cashed. So that was good. That was a unit and a half. So really my 2 bigger plays for me off the 1 unit players, the 1.5 and the 2 unit, they both cashed. So that was a positive. Clemson didn't look great. That was a slugfest. I almost played the under, but I just didn't. That was obviously in hindsight the play to make. A couple other ones just didn't go. Like I said, the second half plays has kind of ruined the weekend for me as far as being profitable or not profitable. But other than that, it's week 1 now, going into week 2, and we got more college plays. I got some NFL plays. I want to get into those a little bit since there's a game tomorrow. I already have them up on the tracker, but I played the under 51.5 a couple weeks ago, and I was going to pull up the odds. I think it actually opened. I didn't get it as open. I want to say from what I can see here, it opened at 53. It's still sitting at 51.5. Some places 52. But I got the under 51.5. I do like that just because I think it's just a high number for an opening game. And, none of these guys have played preseason. So I expect it to be a little bit sloppy. But again, going into props now, I did play a couple over props for some Tampa Bay wide receivers just because I the secondary in Dallas is terrible, and they were just too good of numbers to pass up. But I got Chris Godwin at over 59.5, Mike Evans at 57.5. I got that as a 2-unit play because that's a very low number for Mike Evans in my opinion. And then I have Ronald Jones. He's going to be their lead back, obviously. Over 45.5 rushing yards, and then I got Dak Prescott at over 288.5 yards. I got to think they're going to be behind most of the game. Even a healthy or a mediocre, healthy Dak, he was throwing for over 400 yards last year before he got hurt. So 288.5 seems kind of low, but I'm not getting crazy on props. I want to go in and play first round or first touchdown bets and all that, but it'd be fun just to watch an NFL game now and kind of get back in the swing of it. So yeah, for tomorrow we do have some props and we have the under, and then I also have, this is going to be a very popular, we get into this later, teaser. I got Tampa Bay -1.5 to KC Pick'em. I know that's going to be a favorite teaser of people this week, and so it could bust just on that. I don't know, the Browns go in and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not the craziest thing, but we can get into kind of how I use teasers later, but I don't know. What do you got going for college? I know you don't have any NFL, so I cover that. Why don't you get into what so far what you're seeing for college football this week?
Yeah, I mean, really, probably, like you just mentioned, teasers. Probably the only thing I'm going to do is maybe a couple teasers, and Tampa Bay will be a common thread in those, just because you can tease that through the key numbers there and get it down into low, 1.5, 2 or so. But from a college perspective, yeah, I'm just a 1-unit guy. Typically, I did hammer Marshall, so that was one of my. I think I ended up. I hit that initially. The line didn't really move. I think it was around 3, I think is when I hit it early in the week. Might have went to 3.5. I don't think it made it up anywhere beyond that. I think it closed at 3.5, and I hammered it again for another 2 units. They had no problem against Navy. And it was just one of those things where I just kept looking at what I was getting on the output, looking at a couple other things, and it was just sticking out to me. So I did hammer it pretty good.
It worked. I was on Marshall too, so that was a nice easy win there.
Yeah. So this week, and I'm just going to touch on one of them, on where like my number output and can be confusing at times to me, and I'm the one that has built it. One of those teams is UConn. So sure everybody has seen the videos of stuff. UConn players have basically quit, and I don't blame them.
Their coach quit.
Yeah, no, I know, but they've quit. Everybody's quit there. They might as well just throw in the towel, it seems like. But so it's hard to adjust for that. But they're getting 34 points this week against Purdue, and I've got a significant edge on that, and I'm going to pass just from feel. I know they're probably going to cover just because I'm passing, but it's just one of those that I wanted to just kind of mention that I have it as a really strong play, and I'm just not going to play it. One thing I did want to talk about is line movement. So I posted a lot of stuff right as the lines were coming out, and have seen some significant line movement. I could care less about closing value, but it is good move in your favor. Can kind of show that you're ahead of the market, or and that's what the big thing with closing line value is back in the day when information wasn't widely available. Handicappers were setting the market. Books were putting the line out, getting a little bit of data to move the line, and then settling in, letting the public flood both sides. So one of those that I did want to touch on was the Air Force Navy game. So historically, 2 academy teams playing each other. I forget what the record is, but the under hits like 85%.
It's crazy.
So
yeah.
Play here, but projection wise, I had it projected in the low 40s. It opened at 45.5, I believe. 45, excuse me. It opened at 45, so I did hit it at 45. It's now dropped down to, it's sitting at 40.5. So that was one where I got in early. I'm also going to play the over 40.5 and try to middle it. Just because my number is right around the low 40s, I think there's a really good opportunity there to middle. It's not a huge middle, but going to try to take advantage of that big point swing there and see if I can't middle that. A couple other plays that I had on the early thing, or on the early were, sorry, get back to the right screen here. So we talked about teasers, and yeah, I know people don't usually tease college football, but I've got a 6-point teaser between Ohio State, Coastal Carolina, and Liberty. When I placed that, I could have gotten a little bit better numbers on Coastal Carolina and Liberty at that point or now, but that's a teaser I still like. And then I was able to get in early on Michigan. I know you weren't happy that you weren't able to hit that right when it opened.
I know I couldn't get it at 1. I got it at 4.
I got it pretty early on I guess that would have been Sunday morning, and then it went off. I got that at -1, so I don't know what that line is now, but I'm
7.
good with that. It's 7.
I think it got to 7.
All right. Well, whenever I tweeted this out on the 5th, which day is the 8th, so on Sunday, I had said I was good to -6, so I'd lay off of it at 7. Just a couple other just real quick hitters that I like: +9.5, Buffalo +12.5, which I think that number is probably a little bit better right now. I like Washington +7. I played it, so the numbers like it, but my gut doesn't like it just after what I saw last week. But I guess
which I'm happy about on a personal level,
yeah.
Living in the Seattle area and not liking that game. That was a great outcome.
So we'll play. I've got to play on that. And I did add a couple today. So I always mention, like, if I've got where my numbers hit, and if the market moves stuff into a playable edge, then I'll add as such. So 2 of those I added today were Kansas and Coastal Carolina over 52.5, and Stanford USC over 51.5.
Yeah, your totals have definitely been good. So if you guys are following along, like he said, they're kind of getting tweaked week by week. But like for college basketball and all that, his model does really well. And yeah, to touch on that Michigan, I got it at 4.5. That's a 2-unit one for me. I wanted to kind of see. I wasn't sure what Michigan was going to look like this year, but then I didn't think that Washington was going to be that bad. And I saw the look-ahead line. Also, to talk about, when we say look-ahead lines, there's some books that will release numbers, if you guys aren't aware, for the following week. And there's a limited time, I believe, that you can play those. But if you have, I think you have a week 3 edge. We'll save that. But you can look ahead, and if there's injuries and all that stuff can happen, but you may be able to get a pretty good number, on those look ahead lines sometimes. Or you can kind of use it as a basis of like, hey, for example, the look ahead line was Michigan -1, right?
Yeah.
And now it's Michigan -7. So I mean, with their performances, it's moved an entire, obviously with betting throughout the week or a few days, it's moved an entire touchdown, which is pretty good move. I will say one that we played last week that I like, Liberty. We got Liberty at 23.5, I believe, or 20. I think I got it at 23.5. It closed at 35.
Yeah.
I don't think 35. I don't even remember what they won by. I know they covered, but I don't even remember what they won by. So I don't even know if 35 covered. But that's a huge. I haven't seen one that big in a while. I mean, that's a significant movement. So we're always
your opportunity to make money on the non-Power 5 conferences. The market, the books don't have as much especially in basketball. The books don't have as much liability on those because the public's not hammering they're hammering the big games.
they want the big games that they're going to see on TV. Yeah.
Right. So there's a massive opportunity there to make money.
Now, for example, this week we played Liberty -6. We both did, and I think it's sitting at 5 right now. I mean, it moved a little bit. It might be even 4.5, but not quite sure why that moved. But to touch a couple more on a couple football play or a college that I have, that maybe some that are different than yours. I played Temple -6.5. It's an ugly game. They play on Akron, but Akron, we know, we picked on Akron all year last year. They're just bad, and we saw it against Auburn. We played Auburn first half last week too. They're just not very good. I know Temple ain't very good, but I'm going to bet against Akron until they prove me otherwise. So there's my strategy on that. Just Akron's just bad. Me and my buddy Scott talked about it every week. We're like, okay, who's Akron playing? Let's pick on them, and then they didn't cover. So I got that one. That's just a 1-unit play. My money line parlay this week is I got Minnesota, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and Texas A&M, and USC. So there's 6 teams in there, but I got it to like -103 or -105, something like that. So they're all heavy favorites again. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of thinking into that. And then one thing I am trying this week with college football, I know we've already talked, a lot of people don't tease college football. I'm doing what they call a super teaser, 10-point. And I got one with, because everything's in the tracker too, because there's a link. I got Oklahoma State -3.5, Notre Dame -6.5, and Penn State -12.5. So they're just 1-unit plays, but my book, I can get those at -128. So for a three-team 10-point teaser is not bad. I'm going to throw a couple of those in there and kind of, and also to cover on teasers, guys, we're usually trying to, not a good example with Oklahoma State, but normally, and I guess I'm going through 7, but the teasers, you're wanting to get through key numbers of 3 and 7 usually. So either some guys will take them up to over, if you have what's a good example? A 7-point teaser, sometimes if you have a 7-point underdog, you can get it up to 2 touchdowns, or, you know what I mean? Or you take the popular thing is to take the 7 down to basically a pick 'em if you're doing a 7-point. So there's ways to kind of maneuver them. I always say that's why they're called a teaser, but they're used to manipulate the spread. You're going to have to lay a little extra juice usually, but you're wanting to go through those key numbers of 3 and 7. So at least that's what I've learned. I know that, like we said, popular this week are going to be Kansas City, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, LA Rams. Do I have all those in different teasers? Yes, I do, because the teams that they're playing are bad for the most part. So San Francisco plays Detroit. So, but yeah, that's kind of what we got for, at least for college football in mind. I have a few more NFL plays I can go over, and then I'll kick it back over to you. But one that I just played today is the Green Bay first half team total over 13. They were the #1 scoring team in the NFL in the first half last year. They scored an average of about 18 points per first half. So at 13 points, I think I lay -115 on my book. You may be able to shop around and get it better. I didn't shop around too much on that one. I just saw 13, so I like that number. And I also played Green Bay. I played an alternate spread on this one. I played -6.5 for +120. I just like that. So if they win by a touchdown or more, I got it at plus money. I didn't want to play the 4.5. I know 4.5 is kind of an odd number. I had 2.5 before the venue was changed, and most books canceled that. They canceled the bet because of the venue change, which again, it was in the Oklahoma game last week. It kind of helped me out. This one, I think it was, yeah, I would have liked to rather have 2.5, but I will take the 6.5 at plus money and hope that my Green Bay Packers roll into Jacksonville and blow out the Saints. So any final ones that you got, or any final words? We may have to wait. What do we got? We may have to do a separate bankroll management video. I don't know, depending on how much time you got.
Yeah, that's fine. I guess the only thing that I want to mention from an NFL perspective is I started an article last year. Basically, I did a lot of research into the number of upsets in a given week in the NFL. Was able to find a way to bet underdog. So give a set number of underdogs each week in the NFL and be profitable. So I'm working on that article now, and I'll get that back out. It'll probably be on our link tree. I know it was profitable last year, and I went back about 10 years worth of data and was able to, prove that was a profitable system, whatever you want to call it. So gonna get that back out this year. That was fun to do, and I think that it's always fun cheering for +2, +300 dogs.
Yeah, when When did you usually release, I guess, put that out last year?
As far as time of the week.
Yeah, I know that varies obviously with everything that we got going on in our personal lives, but like what it would like Wednesdays, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think last week it was more towards the end of the week. This week obviously it's already Wednesday on the short week, but I'm going to try to have it out by Friday.
Perfect.
And I'll give some breakdown and stuff on those rather than just picks and stuff, but we'll get a link posted and get that out.
Awesome. No, that'll be good to look at. Like you said, it was profitable last year. So far, pretty good start with football. Like I said, we both had a good week 0. Week 1, you were plus. I was just slightly under. I think I'm shutting it down for baseball, so you guys probably won't be any more baseball players. I'm gonna stick to the about plus 20 units for the year. But we're gonna focus on football now. Probably won't have any golf until, I don't know, November, maybe. I don't know, after the Ryder Cup and the new season kind of gets going on. So, but no, excited for football pretty much every day now, every day of the week. So we'll try to have plays. Obviously, we're on Twitter. If you guys, like he said, Brian said, go to our link tree. We have our Discord. We're starting to get a couple people in there at least. So we're going to try to post plays on there and Twitter, at least on the Discord. If you're a member in there, you'll get an alert when our play, if we have a live play or something like that, so those are always fun. We're looking for numbers live to if we didn't like a game pre, the number pre-game always advantages live. So we will try to do a bankroll management video because there's a lot that we kind of have in mind for that and want to talk about that some other people aren't talking about. And so I think we'll find a time, we'll record that, maybe make it 10-15 minutes, and we'll post that on its own. So if you don't have anything else, I think we'll just wrap it up and then continue to hopefully cash tickets this weekend and have a profitable weekend.
Sounds good.
All right, we will see you guys later.